Well, you're at USC and you meet Michael Ross and Matt Dike.
Yes.
Who have a new company called Delicious Vinyl.
Yes, sir.
Was there anyone else signed to Delicious Vinyl at that time?
I know this from talking to M-Walk. Shout out DJ M-Walk, original mix master. Loke had been signed, I want to say in March of 87.
Okay.
I want to say that Mellow Man Ace had already been signed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I just ran into Mellow Man. He did a set at this Grand Park show with Psycho Les from the Beatnuts, who I hadn't literally seen in like 20 years.
I know Les.
Yeah. So I want to say Mellow Man was signed, Loke was signed, and that's probably into the summer of 87. I got signed in, I want to say either late August or September of 87, right when I'm coming back to school. So how that works is me and Eric are supposed to do something and send the demos out to Get Busy New York. That doesn't work. Marvin has to fly back to USC to go to school. I get on the phone with Mike Ross and Matt Dike, and I say some of the lyrics that are on my demo. Mm-hmm. So I say about 4 or 5 verses. They send me a contract in the mail. I have no lawyer.
There was no email back then.
Right. They send me a contract in the mail. I have no lawyer, but I'm a member of Student Senate. So I go to the student senator who represents the law school, and I ask him to look over the contract.
Okay.
And he, there's not much he can do, and I'm going to pretty much sign anything anyhow.
Right.
And that was it. But basically, in terms of getting signed, I literally just said verses over the phone, and they were like, "Oh no, we want to sign you," and they just sent me a contract.
Okay. And that original contract didn't include any publishing.
Oh no, it took my publishing away. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the original contract took my publishing away. Yes.
Okay. Do you even know what publishing was at that point?
I had heard of it. I had heard of it, but the whole concept of a publishing agreement being separate, I didn't know.
Huh.
And when I had signed, I didn't start writing for Tone until after I had signed as an artist. So only when I'm seeing Tone's units move and I'm seeing publishing go to Very White and no publishing go to me, then I'm like, oh, okay, that's what this is about. And then that's why that put me in a position where I was able to leverage that to get my publishing back for Bust a Move and the rest.
Okay, so you're signed to Delicious Vinyl,
Mm-hmm.
and by 88, you put out a couple of singles. I Let Him Know, My Name Is Young, and Know How.
All right, so this is how that went. The Blue Label was Fastest Rhyme, My Name Is Young on one side, and I Let Him Know on the other side. That was the first thing physically to come out. Then we got signed to Island, or Delicious got signed to a distribution deal through Island.
Ah. Okay.
So the remix of I Let Him Know was was there with Know How. So that was the second release. Ironically, the remix of I Let Him Know, because I didn't know about sampling, I used the horn riff from Sledgehammer, Peter Gabriel. So we got a cease and desist. I don't even think 10,000 of those were made. So I don't know what went out with Know How after that. I think they had just done an instrumental or something like that for the B-side, or did something else. But yeah, Know How was the first release of mine on Island.
Right, and these songs didn't really blow up.
Well, they didn't. Well, it's like we had talked about earlier with the first two short. They didn't leave the region.
Yeah,
they were big in L.A.
Okay,
they were big. Okay, they played them. We drove up the hill.
Yeah,
give you a story. Me and Orlando again. Orlando was doing all the driving because Marvin grew up in New York and Marvin didn't have a driver's license. So doing all the driving drove me up to the Baker Boys. The first big interview that I had done, and I think that the Baker Boys had done. I talked with Nick about it. Was with each other, with Orlando driving and me laying in the back of Orlando's the bed of Orlando's truck. Me and Orlando drive up the hill with the remix for I Let Him Know, hand it to the people at K-Day. We're driving down the hill, get to the first stoplight, and the remix is playing on the radio. It was that granular. You know what I mean? It was like they had that much access, and that, it was such a thing that they wanted. You know what I mean? So that's why I had a sense of success from an experience like that way before Bust a Move was even thought of.
Well, yeah, I was living in the Bay at this point, which is 5-6 hours from LA, but these songs definitely were not registering.
Right.
At that point. So it really was regional.
It was extremely regional.
Extremely regional, which is fine.
Yeah.
But, the rest of the world really didn't know about Young MC at this point. Okay. And did you make a conscious decision at that point not to swear in any of your songs?
The not swearing part came from me growing up in the era of rapping before rap music even got on the radio. So I started rapping in essentially 77, which is about 3 years before Rapper's Delight. So to be able to hear a rap record on the radio, be able to hear all the frequencies, oh my God, that's what the hi-hats sound like. Because before, you were only hearing rap on like community stations and local stations and almost pirate broadcasts. You weren't hearing rap stuff that you listened to on mainstream radio. So the thought process was, if you want to get big, you don't want to give radio stations any excuse not to play you. So I was capable of cursing in my music, but I said, why do it and have them say we're not going to play it because you're cursing? So I made the conscious decision not to swear. Plus, most rappers at the time didn't swear. So as the years have gone on, you know, what was the date that I was going to sell out and start swearing just so I could, you know, fit in with everybody else? Just like changing my name. It's like, yeah, I know I'm not a kid anymore, but I'm still going to call myself Young MC because that's my name.
Well, right around that time, 88, while you were putting out singles and not swearing, Eazy-E dropped his first album, and he was going the exact opposite direction. Yeah. I remember I didn't hear that much swearing on any records until I heard Eazy-E's first album. And I remember there was like this period of time right around 88, because I'd gotten into a bunch of trouble in my junior high. My parents put me in a private school for a couple of years, and nobody listened to hip hop. So I kind of stopped listening to hip hop as much.
Right.
But then in 88, someone played me Eazy-E's first album, Eazy Does It, and I'm like, this is so good. Like from the production to the lyrics to his voice to the guest features.
Time, man.
It was special.
Time,
and suddenly I was right back into hip hop for the rest of my life, essentially. So I remember, I mean, you weren't swearing, but Eazy-E was blowing up. I mean, did you see Ruthless Records and Eazy and all them blowing up around you during that time?
Yeah, but we knew each other.
Okay.
I opened for them. They appreciated me because they could hear the skill that I had as an MC. And I came from New York, but I wasn't claiming New York. I wasn't on stage. I'm not going to get on stage at the Casa, Skateland, World on Wheels. I'm not going to get on these stages and be screaming out New York when I got LA people giving me money.
Yeah.
You know, if I stayed in New York, I wouldn't have been able to make Know How. I wouldn't have been able to make Wild Thing. I wouldn't have been able to make Bust a Move. You didn't just make those kind of records. So the good thing for me coming out to the West Coast is that everybody was more accepting. The music gave you a lot more alternatives in terms of the things that you could do. And I'm one of the few people, there's a thank you. It says MC Young, which is fine. That's still me, but it says MC Young, but I'm thanked on the first NWA record, and I'm thanked. Okay. I'm in the thank yous of Eazy-E's record. So everybody talks about street cred and going back and OGs and all this other stuff. Like, I'm right there. You know what I mean? I may not be waving a flag and all that, but I was in the room for a lot of it. You know what I mean? So real quick, I respected what he did. I respected what all of NWA did, and they respected what I did. I opened for them on stages, met DOC, like that, same way. And all the places, like I watched Straight Outta Compton, and I could literally, recognize each one of the places they were recreating. Okay, that's World on Wheels. That's this place. That's that place. I had opened for them in Vegas when the cops were waiting for them to do, fuck the police and try and pull them off stage. I was there. You know what I mean? So for me, that regardless of this, me getting the skills and coming up and learning all the stuff that I did from the East Coast, being at the infancy of so many special things on the West Coast means a lot to me, because on the pop side, you have what me and Tone did, and the stretch we had from 88 to 90. But on the street side, those guys revolutionized. They basically invented gangster rap.
100%.
And me and Cube go back. I hadn't seen Cube for God, it felt like 25 years, and I opened for him at a show, and he asked me if I was cool with the drive-by. Like I hope you weren't offended by that kind of thing. And I'm like, dude, that gave me the most street cred of anything that anybody's put on a record.
Yeah.
Because if you remember the drive-by.
Yeah, it was a skit.
Yeah, it was a skit that they had Bust a Move playing before they, went after somebody.
Turn on the radio, turn on the radio.
Yeah, turn on the radio. So I'm like, oh, wow, they're listening to me? That's cool. That doesn't go any further than that.